Good morning. Good morning. I wanted to bring something to your attention as I run for governor of Florida, just to kind of give you some more ideas as to kind of what my thought process is. So, pursuant to Section 1002.40 Florida statute, we have the Hope Scholarship Program, which provides a public school student who was subject to an incident of violence or bullying at school the opportunity to transfer to another public school with capacity or request a scholarship to attend an eligible private school. You can play that back to rehear it. But I bring this up because my daughter is a black child, but she's a light-skinned black child, one that we may call red bone if you are black. And she is now consistently asked, is she black? And this is what she goes through on a day-to-day basis at school, or at least often at school, where she's asked if she's black. Now, the school has addressed it after we brought it to their attention because she was called an albino black monkey. And I had to, formally fill out complaint forms and let them know, hey, listen, if the teachers are hearing these type of things and they're not saying nothing, they are part of the problem. The problem I have with the scholarship is you're asking me to hope for exactly what? That we have gotten to a point to where it is so out of our control to address adolescent children about their behaviors in a way that we can fix it. So we came up with a scholarship to move our children to somewhere else and hope that they run into children with better character. Is that where we are? Now, because you have this Hope Scholarship, I brought up to the school board, hey, why is there not a zero tolerance for harassment and bullying if there is money that the taxpayers are paying to allocate to move the child? Then why not have a zero tolerance so that the children who create these negative environments have consequence? Conversation without consequence is not working. My child should not have to say what she say. She said the child asked her, well, if you black, say the N-word. And, of course, you come home and I have to explain to you, saying the N-word does not make you black. It never has. It never will. It's just not a thing culturally anywhere. Doesn't make you black. But we're having to have these convos where now it's like, hey, how do you feel in relation to being light skinned? How do you feel? Not looking like the rest of, darker skinned black people. Dark skinned black people. How do you feel about that? When is it gonna be too much? People, that I brought this up to were like, hey, you gotta teach your kids to be strong. And it's like, what strength is this? What strength part is this? Is it the resilient strength part? As a father, I can have a conversation with my child and tell them that there is nothing wrong with you because of your skin color. Nothing whatsoever. But as an institution, you need to hold those people accountable who harass my child. And as a state, we do not need to put in statutes that taxpayers pay for, then don't have equitable consequences for those children that create the adverse environment. I'm not going to necessarily jump on moving my child from Carver Middle School. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it at all. I understand I have to teach resilience and I have to also be resilient in this world. I understand that. But I myself am not necessarily using my strength 24/7, 365. And how strong do our children need to be when we send them to school? They're not in school learning about whether or not to look at someone of a different color and say, okay, you're just a different color. Don't even matter. This is something that is a character defect. It's a character conversation that needs to happen at the home, which I also understand. But it's just to a point to where if we're going to legislate money for things like violence amongst our children and bullying amongst our kids, and we're not going to have the policies that are also in place to hold those children accountable. And we're just going to say we hope that when you go to the next place, you run into somebody that hopefully is better. I'm not going to get behind that. I'm going to tell you that right now. Even if you've used this Hope Scholarship and you happen to go somewhere, that's not the solution. We can't keep putting Band-Aids on these bleeding, on these broken problems. We just cannot keep putting Band-Aids on. So, I'm gonna really hope that the things that I have brought to the school, as far as what I expect as a parent. Hey, I expect for you to suspend those kids, and I expect for you to say that the reason we're suspending your kids is because they asked the child if they were black. The child acknowledged that she was black, and they just couldn't stop harassing her because she didn't look as black as they did. That needs to go home. But the child needs to have consequences. Now, the school has a rule where, of course, once you bring it up and they address it with the child, that the next time it happens, then they fall into what they consider the harassment and bullying protocol. If it's from the same child. But if it's from different kids, everybody gets that first shot warning. But what if my kid wasn't raised with healthy values? And the first time that you were disrespectful to them, they came with a violent response. That's what we're trying to stop from happening. It's the children that are not given those healthy values that come back immediately with a violent response. So if we find out indeed that, hey, this child says you did this. Did you do this? Yes, I did. You're being suspended, because that's not what we do here. That's just not what we do here. It's not what we taught here. It's not our value system here. And these are the consequences of that value system. So that we can give scholarship money to children for being educated and not for having to go to a new environment and hope that the character at the new environment is better than the character at the old environment. As adults, you can go to a new job and run into somebody with the same bad attitude as the person at your old job. What on earth would I pay into something like that for? Not to mention, if indeed you are a parent who these other schools or charter schools or private schools aren't even in your district where you live at, and you don't have the means to financially get your kids where they need to be, you would take this scholarship and those other kids would still be there doing the same thing they were doing. And we need to figure out how to address the root causes. And sometimes the root cause is teaching through consequence. Teaching through consequence. This is a Florida statute. That means it was voted on. That means it went through a system. We need to collectively have conversation about these things, is what I'm getting at. Because it's just frustrating as a parent to have to say, hey, one of your options is just get your child up out of here, because I don't know what we're going to do about this. I'm telling you what you can do about it. Now you tell me why you can't, and let's fix that. Tell me what you can do about it. Explain to me why you can't. And let me start battling that way. Let me battle the can'ts so I can make the can'ts happen. Or we can find out why the can'ts can't happen. That's what I want to do. I want to find out why you're saying I can't do this. And I'm going to attack that. You guys have a great day. I got more to come.